To ditch or date. So this dude's recently divorced, doesn't think he's ever going to get married again. Can she assume that this dude might change for her or not? And she's wondering, for you guys, 1-855-BERT Show, if she should ditch this guy or continue to date him. Kristen's got the email.
Jason and I have been dating for only about a month. In that 1 month, we hung out about 7 or 8 times. To say that I like him would be an understatement. He really is pretty awesome. Whenever I leave him, I feel like I'm on cloud 9 and can hardly stop thinking about him. Sorry, I had to burp. I think he feels the same way about me. He has told me he likes me a lot, but we are still in the stages of trying to play it cool. Jason is also divorced. He has been divorced for about a year. He's dated a few people in the last year, but said that it's only been a few days with each person. So he has spent more time with me than he has with any other woman that he has dated this year. In that same conversation, we started talking about relationship stages, etc. He ended up telling me that he could see himself being in a serious relationship with someone, but that he never wants to get married again. He said that the end of his marriage and his divorce was so miserable that he'd rather just never risk experiencing that ever again. I was crushed. I really want to be married. I can't imagine living my entire life and never getting married. I know a lot of people who get divorced have that initial reaction, but what I want to know is if most people grow out of that feeling and start to reconsider the idea of marriage. Should I continue dating him with the assumption that he will eventually come around to the idea of marriage again? Or do I need to walk away from someone I really like? Thanks for some opinions, Brooke.
Why are you shaking your head like that?
I feel like a lot of people do this, right? Like you meet someone and they tell you exactly what they want. And then because you want something different, you move on with the hopes that they will eventually change their mind. And then down the road, when they don't want to change their mind, you feel a way about that. And they told you. So I personally believe that if you are in a situation like this with someone and they tell you something, you should believe that. So if she wants to continue to date this man knowing that in the end, he's probably not going to want to get married. So, and if you're okay with that, do it. But if you're not, well, now's the time to face that reality.
I think everybody has when you get divorced, a different sweet spot when you're ready to even consider getting married again. I can tell you guys, man, because I've gone through a divorce and I've told you before, it's the only time in my life that I would consider that I was depressed, couldn't get out of bed. And going through that pain of a divorce, having to agree face to face with this person that you spent so many years with, and then sitting down and having to look at your kids in the eyes and explain that to them. Woo! Man, after that, I was convinced this has never happened because it's so painful, you guys. It is so painful trying to explain this to your kids that I swear, you know what? Not for me. And I'm not sure when that turned. I think it was Tiffany. But initially, I was like, this is never going to happen again. No way.
Yeah, I would think, generally speaking, a year after your divorce, this would be a common thing to say. Man or woman, doesn't matter. That's how you would feel about it. And so I understand where she's coming from in that you want to, God, what's the word I'm looking for? You want to justify to yourself, or you want yourself to believe so bad. He's only a year out from his divorce. I'm sure if things progress the way they do, he will change his mind. Mm-hmm. But like Mo says, if he doesn't, you can't get mad at him because he told you out the gate what he wants. He told you out the gate who he is and what he wants. Is there a possibility his mind could change? Sure. But if it doesn't, you can't get mad at it.
Yeah, I wouldn't bail just yet. Katie, good morning. You are on the Voice Disguiser.
Good morning.
Hello.
I just wanted to say, I met someone and a month into it, he told me the same thing, that, this will never lead to marriage. He was very, very upfront about all of it. I can remember it like it was yesterday. 10 years later, he has not changed.
10 years later?
Changed 10 years later. So, decide what you want to accept, but I think if they're upfront with you like that, which I have respect for,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to hear them. You need to hear them loud and clear. And I was one of those people. I thought, oh, he might change it. You know what I mean? He might change it, and he hasn't, and we're okay for now. But you get to a certain point where you're like, forget it, we're too old for this crap. But I just think she needs to take it at face value. If he's honest enough to say it, he probably very strongly feels that way.
Thank you for calling. You got to remember that hurt of a divorce too, man. I mean, when you hear somebody's getting divorced or they get divorced, you got to remember this has been a slow burn for a while. So when they tell you that they're getting divorced, this has either been months or years of trying to work on it and hurting. So by the time you get out of that divorce, you're just like, never again, Cass.
I think also it's so early to be thinking about this, but if the subject of marriage comes up again, I think you have to say that you want to be married one day. Like, he needs to know as well so that you're on the same page, and then he can make a decision, or he can keep that in the back of his mind. If your relationship progresses, he knows that's a goal of yours, and maybe he'll change his mind if he loves you enough, and maybe he won't. But make sure your intentions are clear as well when you go into stuff like this.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, Cassie, because it's only fair that he knows she does want to get married someday. Because that is now the ditch or date scenario has just fallen into his lap. And he can decide, well, do I want to be with a woman that's emphatic about getting married?
Right. So you're saying stick it out for right now?
I think, yeah. I mean, you're a month in. I'd say like a couple more months. But once you get, I don't know why 6 months is popping in my head. You get to 6 months and you haven't seen any like move.
Well, not you.
There it is.
You got all the things going on today, man.
I'm on the struggle bus. I'm so sorry. Jimmy's teething something fierce, and he was up at 3. We were up on and off, and I'm not even here. My body is here, but my mind is not.
For the new listener, Jimmy is her husband.
Yeah. I don't think it's legal to marry an 18-month-old, but all right.
The Bert Show. Like what you just watched? Well, you can get a lot more of The Bert Show for free on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.